What's up, everybody? I'm here with another book review. This time I want to talk about a book in the Most Wanted series. This is The 12 Screams of Christmas. I read this book, I think, around 2020, and this was before I really did any kind of reviews. I think I did like a very brief thing on Instagram where I talked a little bit about it, but it wasn't very long. Like, it was literally like a paragraph. And really wanted to revisit this book. And now I kind of want to revisit a lot of Most Wanted books because it's been a while since I read a lot of them. There are two in particular that I absolutely really like, and there's one that I think that I'm gonna like more when I God willingly get back to that book. But yeah, the 12 Screams of Christmas is one that I read a few years ago. I really loved it, and couldn't wait to read it again this year. And I finished this yesterday, and yeah. So the story itself starts off. It's in, I think, three parts. It's split up, if I remember that right. The first part is the prologue, and the prologue is basically this family. They move into this house, and there is two twin boys named Ned and Abe, and they have a little sister named Flora. This is like the 1800s, I think, like very early. And this house that they move into, there is this stone gravel thing that like splits up the yard in the middle. There's a guest house, and there's a well. Um, Flora is described as kind of, or is portrayed as like a little girl that like really wants to fit in with her two older brothers, and they just kind of pick on her. She's wearing this little hat, and they end up taking it from her, playing keep away, throwing it back and forth, and all that. So the dad kind of tells them to go explore a little bit. So the two boys, they go explore out in the backyard where the stone well is, and this um the medium thing that's in the middle in the guest house. While Flora goes inside to help her mom do like organize dishes, I think. So the two kids, they go and explore. They end up running into this wasp's nest, and it's in the guest house, and they end up running away. They hear that this place is haunted. They end up running away from these wasps, and they start celebrating, their victory, start dancing and all this. And Flora comes up there, and she's walking across the stone well, and she says, "Hey, I can dance too." And she starts dancing. They try to warn her, and she falls into the well. And this scene kind of shocked me when I first read it, and so I kind of knew what I was expecting. But one thing I didn't expect was the reveal of her being saved for a minute, and then the rope breaking again. Like, Stein really went out of his way to like make this just sad as he could be. So the girl falls, and she ends up presumably dying. And yeah, so that's the end of part one, or the first part. It's not really like part one or part two, I don't think. It might be. Anyway, they go to the next part, and this follows Kate Wells, and it's got some other characters. And Kate Wells is walking home from school, I think, and she says she's late. And it turns out that she actually got into an argument with one of her frenemies named Courtney. Can't remember what they're arguing about, but they're arguing and stuff like this. We learn that there's this play coming up, and she wants to be a part of this play, as well as this other girl named Courtney. And she talks about like something that happened the last time that she was walking home, and she wants to sneak through the graveyard because it's like a shortcut. She goes through the graveyard, and we learn something about Kate, and it's that she can see ghosts, and she can communicate with ghosts. And she sees this ghost family, and they come up to her and try to talk to her, and eventually they disappear. I can't remember who pops up or what, but yeah. They end up going to their house, and the girl Courtney pops up, and she's dressed as a ghost to try out for this play. So of course she's kind of sucking up to get to become part of this play. And yeah, so they end up going to the rehearsals, and we learn a little bit about stories. This part here is kind of part of my negatives for this book because not a ton happens. They go into this they go into the school to in the auditorium for rehearsals, and nothing much happens. We learn a little bit of a ghost story. There's this kid named Paco, Paco, who's introduced, and he's kind of written as this like mysterious guy. I don't really think I don't know what Stein was trying to do with that part, and yeah, so he pops up. Courtney and Kate ends up getting into another fight, and they fall through this trap door, and she hits her head, and she has this like dream of these ghosts again. We learn that Kate gets bullied for being this believer of ghosts. Turns out that there is this like gymnastics meet thing, and she says that saw this like ghost in a tree, and it turned out to be just like a paper bag floating in the wind. And yeah, so basically she gets bullied and picked on and stuff like that, and yeah, and that's basically the other part, this middle portion of this book that I didn't love. I didn't hate it. It was just kind of there. Like it wasn't super boring and it wasn't super interesting either. It was just kind of whatever. The third part is where this book gets good. So the teacher named Mr. Piccolo, he brings the whole class to this haunted house. And he brings them there for like atmosphere and different things like that. Um so Kate's in this place and they start talking the story of the prologue here, and they start talking about like these two twin boys and this girl that falls into the well and all this. And it turns out the 12 screams of Christmas is when the girl screams 12 times. That's what it originates from. And there's also like these like weird little the Christmas song, the 12 Days of Christmas. It's based on that, but Stein kind of writes it in this very scarier way, and it's very good. But yeah, this is where the book actually gets insane, and even reading this now, it was just something. Um, so basically, she ends up seeing these two ghosts, and it's the two boys, and she sneaks off to go find them, and they try to get her to do something. They disappear. I don't remember exactly what they try to get her to do, but they end up disappearing, saying they're going to come back. So she's in her room one day, or in her room sleeping that night, and she starts hearing whispers. She sneaks outside, and I think she sees something in the well, and the two ghosts grab her, and they carry her to the attic. And this book turns into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, because they say that there's this, and it just reminded me parts of that. There is this there's this thing where they talk about like Father Christmas, and they compare her to being Flora, because they want her to kind of replace Flora, because they've been in grief for so long. And so they grab her, bring her up to the attic, and they talk about sitting on Father Christmas's lap. And this is the thing that I remember the most. And I'm not gonna well, Father Christmas is a skeleton with a Santa Claus suit on, with worms crawling through his head. This the mom and dad of this ghost family try to make her eat rat skulls, and none of this is dream sequences either. So spoiler alert for that. This is straight up happening, and yeah, love this. Yeah, I'm not gonna reveal much more because I've already revealed too much. But yeah, the Father Christmas storyline part, or whatever, the last part of this book was absolutely perfect. I loved it. Yeah, 12 Screams of Christmas, even though I say that the middle portion was not my favorite, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. It was just kind of setting up kind of the whole melodrama stuff between Courtney and Kate, and it was fine. It was just, I wasn't a super big fan of that. I'm never really going to be one of those people that are a fan of like the theater type books, like Phantom of the Auditorium and stuff like that. It's just something that I never really grew up with, so I don't really relate to that too much. But yeah, this was good. Um, I gave this 4 stars when I first read it, and this is my reread, and I'm gonna give it 5 stars. This is 5 out of 5 stars for me. I do think this is it's kind of a controversial pick, because I do think there is some nitpicks, but I don't think there's enough nitpicks to warrant this anything less than 5 stars. Um, the only nitpick that I had was there's a scene at the very, very end of this book where a ghost says something that just, I thought about it, it just isn't true. And that kind of bothered me a little bit. And then the middle portion was a little slow. And yeah, other than that, this book was great. Easily one of my favorite of the Most Wanted series. Um, Based on rereads, based on my YouTube playlists of books, this is my favorite so far. There is one that I think that I like better than this, and it's one that I don't think a lot of people loved. So I am interested to tackle that again, God willing, to see how that holds up. But yeah, that's it for me. 5 out of 5 stars for me for Goosebumps Most Wanted, the 12 Screams of Christmas. think that's all that I have really to talk about. Yeah, this book was amazing. Uh, if there's, yeah, what did you guys think about this book? Please let me know in the comments below. I think that's it for me, guys. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Whatever. Have fun with friends, family, and all that. Until next time, thanks.